Jim, our next question sent on Twitter using the hashtag CornyDriveThru from New York Yankees Collector. You get a call from Vince. He wants to do an OVW one-night stand event and have you book the card. Using 8 matches, 1 female and 1 tag team. Book the card. You can use any former OVW wrestlers.
Oh, for Christ's sake. I don't...
Who would be on it if you were going to do an OVW reunion show? Who needs to be there?
Nick Dinsmore, Rob Conway, Doug Basham, The Damage, Trailer Park Trash, Flash Flanagan, Cena and Rico, that Jeter, Chris Cage, Mark Magnus. This is just off the top of my head. Everybody, Mike Mondo. My God, now the women, Jillian Hall, Mickey James, Victoria, Jazz. I mean, I could go on and on because
you didn't say Orton or Lesnar or Batista.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I'm thinking about, but
in your mind, that's my question. In your mind, are those guys that would be there, or those guys that because of the WWE history, we see them differently than you would in terms of OVW history?
Orton would be there. Shelton Benjamin would definitely be there. If the only thing that Brock ever did in the wrestling business was what he did in OVW, he would be like number 46 on the list. Batista would only be there as Leviathan because that gimmick was not only, he was the most over guy in the company. At one point, it wasn't even close, but I loved the gimmick and people loved the gimmick. And you could stay away and minimize Batista's weaknesses, of which he had a number with that gimmick. So Leviathan would be there, Batista, and probably the one time I brought him back as Leviathan because you couldn't change that gimmick and not kill your whole business. And the people went insane. You couldn't hear the fucking music playing over the PA system for him screaming. But I mean, there were different eras of guys in OVW, but at the time that they were each there, they all meant, all those guys that I mentioned and more, meant something.
You know what's interesting about the idea of you doing
the Heartbreakers, Roselli?
That's what I was going to say.
Thomas.
If you did a reunion show, if you did a one-night stand, there's actually a lot of OVW programs you could finally do the real ending for, like the reveal that the Heartbreakers weren't gay. We never got to see that on TV.
And, the reason why I mentioned a lot of those names is because, honestly, those guys were so much farther ahead as all-around performers than the guys that WWE signed and sent us and had us train. And I'm knocking some of them, but not all of them. But it's just that the guys that were with OVW longer, imagine that, learned more because they had more experience and they had more time in school. And the guys that the WWE wanted to fast track and rush sometimes didn't get the benefit of the education that the guys that they didn't want to rush at all because they didn't want them to begin with. They ended up being better because they had more time in training. So, I mean,
you'd have to have Eminem do a reunion.
Yes, Eminem, Matthews, Nitro, and Molina. What a great, they should have been the modern Freebirds. They bobbled that.
Yeah.
When they brought it up to the main roster, when they changed people's music, they changed people's names, changed their gimmicks, switch them from babyface to heel, drop the manager, whatever the case may be. That killed the Heartbreakers right there. The music, the name, and the manager, and that was the end of that. So yeah, but again, I don't know that you could keep it to 8 matches, the talent that we had through there. And again, most of the best talent was the ones that you never actually saw on WWE television.
You could have like a reject battle royal, Linda Miles, Russ McCullough. Get them all in one match.
And get Stephen Gamblin back in here and go. Oh my God, but you know what? I gotta say that in much the Ole Anderson principle, I used to think you were a dumb fuck, but so many other dumb fucks have come along worse than you. You've moved up the ladder without doing anything. That the guys and girls that I categorized as the drizzling shits at that point were still better performers than some of the guys and girls on national TV today. Because at least they were kept from doing shit they really didn't know how to do and made to focus on the shit they were only kind of crummy at. And now there's no guidance of that respect. Just, go out there and come up with some shit.
Do you think it's too easy nowadays for a women's wrestler who's ill-prepared to get on national television and just have a match that goes past the commercial break?
Yes, that's what I've been saying. And, that's why everybody thinks I hate women and I'm sexist, because the plain fact of the matter is that there's not as many good female workers as there are good male workers. So therefore, when you try to have half and half, you put more women than men on that are not prepared for the position they're being put in. And it's brutal.